for those of you who are new, I can check and see we've got six participants today. Last night the sum total was 91. People stopped by at some point during the thing, and I think we had 30-some the day before. After a 10-3, is that what it was? Blowout loss.
Sure was.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a huge attendance. I'm John Bonus from TwinsDaily.com. With me, Parker Hageman and Seth Stoves. We always like to start the post-game pint by showing off what pint we've got. If you are an attendee, I encourage you to check out the chat capabilities. Let me stop sharing that screen there. The chat capabilities that we have in there, we're going to try and check the chat, and frankly, we're going to maybe even try to take questions, maybe even audio questions. We'll see if you want to see if we can work that out this time. And there's the chat. There we go. I opted for a double today. Fair State Double Universe. Mirror Universe is one of my favorite hazy IPAs locally by Fair State. I really like it. And I have not tried the Double Universe yet. And my daughter said, hey, we've got Zip's Liquor Store. So I went and checked it out. And I'm going to enjoy it thoroughly right now because
what's the one sip review right now?
It's good.
Okay. Good.
No, it's a good hazy IPA. I mean, I don't see that much difference between that and their Mirror Universe, to be honest with you. I'm guessing it's double hopped or double strength or choice.
Yeah, knock you on your ass or something.
8.6 ABV.
That'll do it.
And we need it after that. Parker, do you have a post-game pint or not?
I do. I got a Surly Rocket Surgery Hazy Ale.
Oh, that's another good one.
I picked the 2015 Winter Meltdown Glass, which is a guy pitching, minis pitching on their snowballs. And I feel like that's kind of indicative of what happened today. Pitching was a big story, and we'll talk probably more about that in a little bit.
I bet we will, yes. And Seth, what hard stuff are you hitting today?
So I have with me a can of Garv sauce.
Do you really?
Excellent.
Yeah, it's from Omni.
Okay.
I mean, I think we drank this about a month ago. And
so it's an empty can of Garv sauce.
Yeah, so I've got the can. I mean, I thought I'd impress you guys by having a can of beer.
Okay.
I also have an Aquafina all by itself, no rocks today, so I'm ready.
I would encourage you, Seth, to drink quite a bit after this game. I encourage everybody to drink heavily after this game. I encourage the Twins to drink heavily after this game. I especially encourage Zach Littell and Devin Smeltzer to drink heavily after this game. Also, the umpire. I would like it very well if he drank heavily after this game. Maybe
I think he was drinking before the game.
Tell people not to drink.
Maybe he should. Yeah, well, probably do. He probably shouldn't have drank before the game. Let's go round to the horn. And talk a little bit about I don't know what one topic came out of here that you wanted to chat about, Seth.
So the one positive thing was Nelson Cruz hit the nice home run, and I think that's about it. So Aaron Whitefield made his major league debut there in the ninth inning as a pinch runner.
Oh, I missed it. Shoot.
Very exciting.
I was too busy setting stuff up.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's a major leaguer at this point, which is kind of exciting. But yeah, the highlight was
just a defensive substitution.
Just a pinch runner.
Okay, a pinch runner.
I don't even remember who got on.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had a defensive substitution in the ninth. They're behind.
Right. So yeah, no, I mean the Cruz home run was really the entire highlight of the entire game for the Twins. I mean, honestly, I thought Dobnak did all right. I thought
I did too.
One run. This is a good lineup, and I said it last night. I've said it all off season. This lineup the White Sox have is stacked. They're good, and obviously we saw that throughout the game. I'm sure we'll speak more to that, but so those really the Cruz thing, the Whitefield thing. That's about it for positives.
If I was going to dwell on a positive from one of the things you took away, I would say this. I will admit to this. When Cruz hit that home run, and the team was still down 5-3 in the top of the sixth, I would have given them at least even odds to win this game. And I'm wondering how delusional that is, or if it's a shared delusion. Is it a shared delusion? Did you guys think we had a 50-50 chance of winning that game when we were down 5-3? I figure, we got some high leverage arms that can come out of the pen. White Sox were a little beat up after last night. They'd already gone through some of their pitchers. I have a lot of faith in this lineup. Even down 2 runs with them having 4 at-bats and us having 3 at-bats, or 4 innings to hit and 3 innings to hit, I still would have given us about a 50-50 chance of winning that game. It went the other way.
The White Sox bullpen has a ton of good arms, but they also feel a bit shaky, right? Like, it's not like, oh, these are all lights out guys. It's, guys like Aaron Bummer who missed the zone a bit, right? And it feels like if you're playing a 5-3 game, 6-3 game with the White Sox and you got 3 innings left, I think there's a chance the Twins are going to put up a couple more runs anyways. But yeah, that thing got out of hand, and I think everybody just decided, all right, this is enough for Saturday. Let's look forward to tomorrow, right?
Right. It got out of hand. Well, let's Parker, why don't you go with your topic too? What would be your takeaway from this game?
Well, Seth kind of stole it from me, but I was just going to say Randy Dobnak looked really good, in the last-minute spot start that he was going to have. And I think, it was touched upon during the broadcast, but he didn't look as stretched out as he could have been. I mean, they were kind of milking him for innings there towards the end. It looked like he just wasn't as sharp as he was in the first couple of innings. But that second inning at bat against Nicky Delmonico, right, where he had a 13 pitch, started 3-0, and battled back to strike him out. I loved the fact that they cut to Dobnak on the mound after the strikeout, and you saw a big, F right there out of him, and he was pumped, he was jacked, and Wes Johnson had to come out to cool him down a little bit and be like, all right, let's regroup. Right. That was good, but let's regroup, okay?
Well, I mean, just throwing 10 straight strikes, right? 10 straight strikes to eventually strike the guy out was amazing. The Twins went into this game as even in Vegas's line, and that's with Randy Dobnak facing Dallas Keuchel. Usually when those Vegas lines take a long look at who the pitcher is on both sides. So I was encouraged by that, and frankly, I do think, I don't know, what's Dobnak's chances of getting 8 starts this year? There's only going to be 12 starts for a full-time pitcher. Are we going to see him get a significant pitching load this year as a starting pitcher? I mean, on the one hand, it probably means somebody's hurt, but somebody's going to get hurt, right?
Or infected.
And we also have Pineda coming back midway through the year. Oh yeah, or they're going to stink, right?
I mean, I think 8 starts is probably a little bit high, but right now we don't know. I mean, they're obviously being very optimistic, or really not saying a whole lot about Odorizzi's back, which that's something that could linger. They did push back Rich Hill, which, again, they're saying they were just doing that to put him back on the schedule he had prepared for. But we were told this morning before the game that he did throw a bullpen and that he was evaluated well. And we're like, well, what are they evaluating if all they're doing is pushing him back? So, there's a lot of question marks. He's also 40. So I think Dobnak, whether it's 8 starts or it's 10 or 12 games where he pitches 3 to 5 innings, I think he's gonna play a significant role, either as the 5th or 6th starter, or that first long guy that they go to.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. Is he the clear number 6 until Michael Pineda returns?
I think so.
Right now, yeah.
I think so too. And I'm not. And by the way, I'm okay with that. I mean, I wouldn't mind him pushing Homer Bailey a little bit. I mean, we're going to see what Homer Bailey can do. But if Homer Bailey stumbles in 3 straight starts,
if we know one thing about this front office, they're not afraid to make moves. And if it isn't good for the first 3 or 4 starts, they're not going to be afraid to go to Dobnak. So and who knows? I mean, that's probably 3 weeks out, so a lot of different things can happen. There could be an injury. There could be a positive test. There could be a lot of things that happen. But, I mean, clearly getting the start today tells us that he's the next in line.
We've got a question on the webinar chat saying, how much of Randy Dobnak's powers do you suspect come from his mustache? And I think that's a legitimate question. We know that none of Parker's powers come from his facial hair. That's that might make you weaker. Truth be told.
I think that affected our bullpen today. My facial hair, actually.
We also saw Rita Bonita tweet out today that she didn't want anybody calling Dobnak Uber because we should all get nicknamed after our least good job back when we were still trying to become human beings. Seth, what would your nickname be? What job?
As I responded to her on that or this morning, you can feel free to call me Mr. Main Street Video. I was rewinding when people forgot to rewind their VHS tapes. So it's either that or Mr. Rock Picker or something like that.
Yeah, neither one's good. I went with Mr. Big Boy. I used to work at the Big Boy on France Avenue.
Come on now, man.
France Avenue across from Southdale. I was a grill cook and a prep cook at the Big Boy. So I think I can go with Mr. Big Boy. Parker Hageman, what is yours?
Mr. Main Street Video and Mr. Big Boy, those are way too good. I think the worst job.
They both double as porn. They both double as porn nicknames, which works out.
Yeah, yeah. You guys could definitely be in some other videos. It sounds like after that. I was a busser for the longest time. That was probably
busser.
Yeah, like at a restaurant. I bussed
like a busboy.
Yeah, busboy. So you guys get to be the.
What was the restaurant?
Christos, my aunt and uncle's restaurant.
In St. Paul.
It was Minneapolis' one on Nicollet. It was a learning experience, right? You remember your first job as like a teenager where you used to mow your parents' yard or something like that, and then all of a sudden when you have your first real job, that's the one you learn more life lessons out of, I think.
You be the Greek busboy. How about that? The Grecian how about the Grecian busboy?
My chest hair was just flowing everywhere, and yeah, it's great.
Right under your face, apparently.
All right, easy, Mr. Big Boy.
For me, my story of the game was sort of the bullpen. I really felt coming into today. I looked at yesterday. I was really excited about the bullpen after yesterday's performance. They felt confident enough to pull Barrios after just 4 innings, and it looked like he had at least another inning or 15 pitches in him, but they decided to be careful and pull him out a little bit early. They went with 3 high leverage relievers. Then Stashik came back, and in my mind, he's on the verge of becoming a high leverage reliever. And then I took a look at today's game, and I still saw Littell, Romo, and Rogers, who hadn't pitched yet. And you could still go back to any of the other guys that they had. And I thought, how deep is this bullpen? This bullpen's unbelievable. And then the bullpen completely falls apart here today. Versus now, the White Sox.
That doesn't change the way does it?
Say that again, Seth.
That doesn't change the way we think about it. I mean, Zach Littell's going to be, even after today, he'll be fine. And I'm guessing they had a plan for who they wanted to use today.
Didn't Zach Littell have like the exact same kind of first outing last year too? Like his first or second off, and then he was pretty much lights out the rest of the year. So I wonder if that's kind of his. I'm just going to this one out, and for the rest of the year, he's going to be that lights out guy.
Yeah, I think we hope that.
There's no science behind that. Yeah.
Well, I think it was 2 years ago when he made his major league debut. The first couple outings he had were rough. But last year, I think once he moved into the bullpen, I think what was his ERA last year? 1.8 over like 30 games. I mean,
4 home runs all of last year, and he gives up 3 in 1 inning this year.
Yeah.
He also had a strikeout rate of like 8.5, a little over 8, something like that. So, I agree. Listen, the ERA was unbelievable, but you take a look at that strikeout and that walk ratio. Neither of them are elite. They're not bad. He's nothing to be ashamed of for last year. Don't get me wrong, but I think I said on the Patreon Cleveland and the Geek preview, of the relievers out there, other than the older guys, worried about them regressing. The one I was most worried about was Littell, and I thought what we saw today was that he wasn't really. He relies so much on that high fastball. It looked like either he couldn't get the fastball high enough or that he was trying to work down in the zone, which didn't make a lot of sense.
No, he definitely was trying to elevate based on where Garber was looking for it, and then he wasn't up there. And there's these last two games, Barrios too, they didn't look sharp, right? It didn't look like they were hitting their spots or getting their pitches the way they wanted them to move. And I think we're seeing a lot of like, hey, you shut down for a while, you're working on the side, and you only got a couple weeks to kind of get ramped back up. I think we're going to see some of that from some of these guys. It's just like they're not quite, mid-season form where they should be.
And that's why I think it's important that they got 4 guys in yesterday. They got 3 in today because none of them had pitched other than a couple of them in the exhibition game. And they actually went with Alcala and Fieldbar for 2 of those innings on Wednesday. So these guys haven't pitched since either Sunday or Monday at least. So I'm sure they'd ideally like to get Romo and Rogers in there. I thought Whistler, he didn't look great, but you can see where they love the slider. He's certainly got that ability. Smelter, I think they kind of put in a bad place. I feel like once they were behind, it was almost like they just decided he's going to finish this out and give us some length because that's what his role is. But he got put in, and it was like Tim Anderson, but it was righty, all power hitters. It's just, again, when you're not 100% sharp, that's a tough situation to get thrown into.
Yeah, and Smeltzer didn't look all that bad. He struck out 5 in those 2 innings, and he was, he's doing all right. Even the home run he gave up to McCann was a breaking ball that was almost below the zone, right, and went opposite field. So it wasn't terrible until towards the end of his end of the second inning. But I thought he looked okay.
Am I remembering correctly? It seems like that was something that happened to Smeltzer pretty not regularly, occasionally last year, where he puts up strikeout after strikeout after strikeout. You feel like he's cruising along, and then suddenly there's 4 or 5 hits in a row, and he's getting the snot kicked out of him. I mean, and just so we're clear, I'm a Smeltzer fan. I think he's good. It just seems that when things start going the wrong way, they can keep going the wrong way. Kind of the Kyle Gibson thing, I guess, is what I'd say. You can see him moving along for a while, and then suddenly a couple of different things go wrong, and then something bad, really bad, goes wrong. And suddenly there's a home run to left field, and you're down, and then an extra 3 runs. I also think the only reason he was in is because when that half inning started, they were down 5-0. Then they get the quick 3 runs by Cruz. Smelter's already warmed up and coming in, and I wonder if they would have thought – actually, no, hold it. He didn't give up those runs until the second inning he was out there, though. He only gave up 1 run in the first.
He gave a solo home run to McCann,
yeah. Yeah. I'm a little surprised they didn't – I expect the plan was have Smeltzer get him through the 7th and then turn over the 8th to Romo and the 9th to Rogers and see if you can come back from those last 3 runs. He struck out the first 2 guys in the inning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Looked safe enough, and then – just all went to hell.
Did you guys?
Parker's talked about this before too, and obviously it's become a bigger thing. But elevating the fastball is such a big deal, and pitching up in the zone is such a big deal. You mentioned Moncada's home run was on a low pitch. The first Fleury Garcia home run was just below the strike zone. I mean, these are pitches where 10 years ago, pitching coaches would have just said, "That's a great location. We'll just accept what just happened." And now you're like, well, you can't throw a lefty a pitch at the knees. They're going to crush it. And today they did.
Yeah, that was in Littell's slider that I think he was trying to get underneath that zone, and it kind of went in, like you're saying, the left-handed swing right there. I just wanted to ask you guys your reaction to Eddie Rosario's play. Obviously, the score at the end of the game doesn't dictate it, but, it's the first run of the game. Double off the wall. He fielded it perfectly, right in good position. And this seems to be like, Rosario's MO. Tiger got out of the cage, bro, and he, turns and fires, and it kind of just goes into the middle of the infield where maybe Tim Anderson could have been right. There would have been a play at the plate if he hit his relay.
Right. Well, we've seen him make unbelievable plays with his arm from the outfield time after time after time after time. This was not an unbelievable play. This was a really bad play. And, yeah, it probably cost the Twins a run. It might have cost them an out. The White Sox third baseman clearly gambled. Either he saw where Rosario's throw was going, or he just decided to challenge Rosario, and Rosario went a little nuts. I wish we could have seen. I went on a little pouting rant on Twitter about the replay on that on Fox Sports North, only to find out that is not something that Fox Sports North can control at all. They are getting replay feeds from the Chicago White Sox broadcast team. And so what ends up happening on that is the reason we couldn't see where that throw really landed, or, who was lining up, or, whether or not the cutoff man was in the right place or anything like that. Like, we got no analysis on that whatsoever. It's because the camera, every replay of it, just wanted to focus basically on how fast Tim Anderson is, because it's the White Sox broadcast and not the Twins broadcast.
So Parker, you're the coach. Parker,
ahead.
you're the coach of the group, and I used to coach, and I just love kind of the analytical side of it too. But I wanted to see some sort of a camera angle, like John's speaking to, because there should be a backup to the first. There should be a 2-person relay team.
It's a double tandem. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have a double, and I think Donaldson would have to stay at third because there could be a play at third. I think Adrianza has to stay at second because there's probably a play potentially at second because it was just a long single that turned into a double.
Throwing Sano under the bus is what you're saying.
No.
Well, Sano should be the trailer, actually, yeah. So
he should be the trailer and covering
the
second. Adrianza should be the second cutoff. And if he's there, he's probably right in place. That's not saying Rosario shouldn't hit the first cut. I think that's his job. But there should be a trailer there too. I think it looks worse because there wasn't a trailer and it ended up kind of just trickling into the middle infield there.
Yeah, they may not get him. They probably don't get him if it goes to the trailer anyway. If he misses the first cutoff man, it goes to the trailer anyway. But it looked even more ridiculous, the fact that the ball just kind of dribbles all the way to the mound like a game of mound ball from the left field bleachers.
Yeah, at the time it felt like it was going to be a one-run game too, the way that both Dobnak and
right
were dealing too. And it felt like a very important moment, but in the end, it turned into slow pitch softball, so whatever.
So we think Zach Littell was just bailing Rosario out? Is that what we think?
Get all that heat off your outfielder? Yeah, absolutely. That's a strategy.
You got to keep Eddie confident. Have I ever mentioned that I love watching Eddie Rosario play baseball?
No.
He's awesome to watch. I mean, he really does. He does like last year when he saved the game in Fenway, right? He threw it basically from the warning track by the Green Monster, right? Throws it around at home. He's very capable. He's a great arm. But there's times, and again, we can't see because there wasn't a replay, but was he trying to hit maybe where a double cut would have been, or did he just blindly turn and fire and
or a little of both?
Completely over? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah. Ideally, you have a double cut there, so the guy, if he does just fire it, he's there to get that ball. But I don't know. Maybe Adrianza was wandering in the center field or just trying to find some Italian beef sandwiches. I don't know.
The question on the
Very
actual
possible.
the question on the television replay, we got a comment in there about how FSN only really gets one camera. Well, they get one camera that they can control there, and I'm guessing that camera mostly points to like the Twins dugout and such to try and get players' reactions. But really, my initial understanding of this is that FSN would still get all of the camera feeds. So when you see the producer with the control panel saying, okay, camera 1, camera 3, now do the replay to this. I thought FSN got to control all of that. The truth is they don't get to control that, especially don't get to control the replay stuff. So when the replay stuff comes through, that's just one feed that comes to them, and Bramer and Morneau just have to react to it. And they're not going to throw the Chicago White Sox network, whatever the hell that is, under the bus on that. But yeah, it was
They should throw them under the bus.
Yeah, that's right. So,
he gone.
I'll tell you one of the things that I was. Let's talk about the first base replay. The one where Sano there was a pickoff at first base. Sano thought he got him. There was one camera angle that kind of suggested that maybe he did, but the main camera angle that you wanted to be able to get was blocked by the first base coach, so that you couldn't see the actual tag.
Analysis, analytics. They knew exactly where to put him.
Statcast show that you got to stand there as a first base coach. Yes.
Yep.
I would love it, frankly. It seems like the exact sort of thing. First of all, it doesn't seem like something the White Sox would figure out. But if it seems like something the White Sox figured out, they absolutely would do it.
The Astros might know that, but like the White Sox, I don't trust them.
Right. But if they did, they would stand there. They'd get the widest possible first baseman they could get. They'd get Andre the Giant standing in the first base box, blocking the thing with a big old White Sox jersey on. No? Okay.
I like
Garver started a night game last night and a day game today. I presume that was because even though it was a right-hander last night, you can't sit down Garver on opening day. He's got to be in the lineup, and then you want him in the lineup versus a left-hander today. I also presume he'll be out of the lineup tomorrow versus a right-hander. Is there any – should I take any hope in that we see Garver play 45 games as catcher? Or we're going to still how many games do we think in a 66-day season where 60 of them are games and most of the break date games are like the last week? They're about to literally on Tuesday they start a stretch where they play 36 games in 37 days. How many games are we going to see Mitch Garver starting at catcher?
Is this like an over-under of 45?
Oh, no. If I was going to set an over-under, 45 is a dream. If I was going to set an over-under, I'd set it at 39.5.
That's a tough over-under because I was thinking he's going to catch 2 out of 3
the
during
beauty
that.
That's how you set an over-under.
No, he's going to catch 2 or 3 most of the time, you presume, in most series, and that puts him at 40. But there's also the days off. I put the over, but I think it'd be barely over 40. And I think Avila, hopefully what they do is in some of these blowouts, they get Avila in there even just for a couple innings to get Garver out of there because I think Garver's that important. We want him in there as much as possible, but, I mean, they learned a lot last year about – I think Rocco Baldelli, I asked the question before the season started in summer camp, and he's like, yeah, it's, funny that nobody really ever seemed to think about that with catchers, that, it's, you can play better and hit better when you can feel your legs. So
right.
I think they fully believe in the concept that rest is important for catchers and everyone else too, but especially catchers. So I might be talking myself back to the under.
By the way, Rocco Baldelli said that in day one of being a manager at spring training last year regarding Castro and Garver. And that was when nobody really knew how good Garver was going to be. That Castro was going to get a lot of days off, and Garver was going to get a lot of days off. And the assumption was maybe Astudillo might be on the roster so that everybody else gets a lot of days off. Go ahead, Parker.
Yeah, I think I don't remember if it was Baldelli or if it basically said they see 40 to 45 games out of, Garver, ideally, right, without any injuries. So I'll take a slight over of the 39. But, again, this is such a weird season where it's like, the what is the stretch of next month? They've got a stretch of like 16 games in 17 days or something like that, where it's like maybe they do like, pace it out a little bit more. So, because, and also we're in the middle of summer too, right? It wasn't like hey, we get some cool spring days, and it's like, this is it. You got to be in equipment outdoors at 90-degree weather, So maybe there is a little bit more breaks for both guys.
I'm also curious how when Astudillo gets cleared, what his role is on this team. I think he was obviously going to be on a 30-man roster. I think he was very borderline at 28 or 26. So I don't think he comes into play a whole lot in that equation in terms of catching, but that might be an extra game or two that may put it at 38 instead of 40.
Is there an update from my beautiful boy at all? I mean, I haven't heard anything, right? It seems like it's been more than 2 weeks, right?
It's been quiet.
Stowe's back at the same.
I'm getting reports from various people out in Northeast Minneapolis, like they've seen him in Northeast Minneapolis. So I don't think he's quarantined anymore. Or I don't know, maybe he is and he's just done. But I don't know what his health status is or when he's going to have his. I don't know if he's working out at CHS Field. I don't think we've heard that yet. Have we?
And
have we
it's hard
heard
to get anything out of that.
Right. Let's see. What else we got?
Hey, I've got one other kind of general topic, but
okay.
I know that Parker disagrees with this one, but and I don't think we disagree on it as much as obviously velocity is a good thing, but there's a reason that guys like Keuchel and Lester and Kyle Hendricks stick around despite the fact that they top out at like 88. And number one, it's because they locate and they're smart enough that once they know they're going to get an extra inch or three, low or high or whatever, they're able to fully take advantage of that over and over and over again. And that makes it tough when you're getting that extra 2 or 3 inches, which I think we can all acknowledge that. I think Dobnak got some calls early in the game too, but Keuchel definitely got especially low, which means you can't do much with it in terms of driving it. So I thought that was a key point early in the game, at least.
Well, first of all, Seth, I'm going to tell you to shut your face. That was a terrible thing. No, I don't. No. But I do want to say with the point you're saying about location, and that's true. I mean, you got to have velo, you got to locate everything. You got to have both. It's not like one or the other, right? But you look at a Keuchel and you look at Lester's, and they can move the ball, right? It's not just that they're throwing high 80s and just hitting spots. It's that the ball's moving. Keuchel was turning the changeup over, and it was dying, just all over the place, right? Same thing with his slider, absolutely. Just a little bit of run. So I think that's kind of a 1A and 1B with like, hey, you got to make it move and you got to hit your spot. But you're absolutely right, dude. With the first 2 innings, it seemed that he got 2 balls off the plate, under the zone. And look, McCann did a good job receiving too, right? I thought he brought some back up where it's like, all right, he's doing the right technique and he's doing stuff. Whereas I think with Mitch, a couple of those where he was in the right position, but like the pitchers, Dobnak, they miss their spots so much that you can't necessarily do the right technique to bring that back, if that makes any sense.
I think with Dobnak, his pitch tails so much that it's hard not to keep. You can't see what I'm doing here, but it's harder to keep it and just frame it. Whereas with Keuchel, it's more just dropping and darting. Just that half inch or something makes it a little easier to frame. So, I mean, I think people make way too big a deal, but it does alter the game when you're getting that, half an inch here and half an inch there, and 3-1 becomes 2-2, or 1-2 becomes 3-1.
Well, even psychologically, you look at Donaldson got one of the calls early on as a second hitter, and he just looked back and shook his head, and it's like that changes your whole at bat, that changes your approach. Now you're thinking that pitch that's dying, right? Well, I got to swing at this if I'm, or my 2 strikes because. And then you're hitting a pitch out of the zone into the ground again, like he did all game and see it.
Yeah, so when I was watching the Keuchel thing, my first reaction was, boy, I can hardly wait till they see him a second time. And then they didn't do much the second time, but then I was like, I can hardly wait until they see him a third time. And sure enough, he saw one person. What's that?
At that 5th time, they're really going to get to him then.
Well, they pulled him out after facing one batter the 3rd time through the inning. And in fact, I think he went 5.1 innings, right? That's what he ended up getting on that. And that's one of the reasons why I was like, I feel pretty confident. They're going to come back now that they've gotten Keuchel in his enlarged strike zone the hell out of the game. I also feel like in general, maybe it's just the point of where he is in his career, but I feel like the more times the Twins face him, the more effective they're going to be against him. And I like that they have a decent chance of facing him a couple more times. I respect Keuchel, but I don't fear Keuchel. You know what I mean? It just feels like the sort of guy that eventually one of these days you're really going to get to him, and once you kind of get on his wavelength, you're going to slap him around pretty good. That was the way.
That's what people have been thinking for about the last 10 to 12 years about Keuchel.
Yeah. That might be right.
And he's still got a 3-year, $39 million deal again. So I agree. He's one of those guys, and I've used this dumb analogy.
Yeah, but it's from the White Sox. Like, what does that really mean?
Well, that's like people on here were saying Edwin Encarnacion is done as of last night, and then he hit one about 900 feet today too. So, it's like, you play in high school and you see that other team that throws the guy that throws about 48 miles per hour. And every time you come in, you got your teammates yelling, this guy's got nothing. We can hit him. Just hit him hard. He's got nothing. And, 7 innings later, you've lost 8-1, So right. At some point, you have to give the guy a little credit for getting major league hitters out,
Now, we've only seen the White Sox for 2 games, but like with a guy like Keuchel, who's going to let the ball get put into play a lot, I feel like the White Sox defense is still shaky enough, and, they're not solid enough to take a full season of a guy like that who puts the ball in play a lot, right? They make their own mistakes. They kind of do some unforced error stuff.
Through 2 games, I've been as impressed with the Twins infield defense as I've been almost thinking that the White Sox infield defense is not good. But again, that's 2 games, and I don't know how confident I feel with Arise and Polanco still, but I feel better about Sano, and I think obviously.
Yeah, we should mention Polanco made a couple of great plays today, right? And
tremendous.
But they're the plays that he's always made, right? Like he's pretty good at charging in.
No. He's really bad at charging. He was -9 runs, one of the worst of the shortstops at coming in on the ball. So this is a good sign to say, if he's making that play, maybe something's changing for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Adrianza made a great play at second base today too.
Yes,
at the time, you thought kept a few runs. Of course, I think it went haywire after that, or maybe they might have got out of it. But he made a great play too. He's just so good everywhere. I think he's best at short, but he can play third, second. His worst position is probably the easiest at first base.
Yeah. Well, and
it's incredibly hard.
I mean, we won't see him in there all the time, but Arise looked fairly good yesterday. He made a number of plays or ranged a little bit that I thought was a little more impressive. So, if the infield defense tightens up, I mean, listen, it should tighten up a little bit with Donaldson. But if you add Donaldson to that infield and you tighten it up in a number of other places, and frankly, I mean, Sano's got some decent range at first base. He doesn't necessarily have the instincts right yet for first base. He hasn't played there, the experience at first base, but he's got the range and he's got the tools. It could be a much better infield defense. I mean, does that save this team 20 runs a year?
I think the most you get is 13. It's like if you're looking at the StatCast, the Nationals led last year at 13 runs.
Okay.
So that's about a win, 1 win in the column.
Okay. I'll take it.
I mean, here's another one. Am I making too much of how good I think this White Sox offense has the chance to be? I mean, Tim Anderson won a batting title last year. Sure, he doesn't walk, but Moncada is a stud. Abreu's still good. I think Encarnacion still has a little bit left. I mean, if Jimenez takes any sort of step forward, Lurie Garcia is the guy that everyone wants out of there because of Nick Madrigal. But, I mean,
right?
It's not like these are his first home runs of his career. He's been okay in the last year. I think this is a legit team, and Luis Robert might be the most exciting player to come into the league this year.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. They're offensively, they're going to be really good. They'll score runs. We saw today, right? They can hit the ball. I think it's them trying to keep up with another, you know what I mean? Like it's going to be like those 9-8 games, the 7-6 type games, right? I mean, I think they're going to give up a lot of runs too. So to win the games, they need to slug.
All right.
But exciting. If I was a South Side person, I'd love this.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Twins face the final game of the series tomorrow afternoon. My guess is we'll have almost all arms available in the bullpen, with the exception of Dobnak and Smeltzer. We also, I think, we'll see, probably Avila for the first time tomorrow over Garver. Kenta Maeda is going to be on the mound, so it's our first chance to see him in real live season action. Games at 1:00. We will not be having a post-game pint tomorrow. Instead, I hope that you'll check out Gleeman and the Geek on KFAN. And immediately after the game, we'll also not be having a post-game pint on Monday because there is no game on Monday, so there's no post-game. And then Tuesday, we will be doing a post-game pint following the first game versus the Cardinals, which I'm guessing will be Homer Bailey at this point, pitching in that game. Thank you very much for joining.
Probables are Bailey and Hill are the probables for this.
Bailey and Hill. Cool. Good to
know.
Also,
a bonus with the shameless self-promotion, which is just crazy, especially on this. And by the way, if you haven't checked out my 20 Twins preseason predictions for this, please be sure to do that at twinsdaily.com.
Hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do a quick pull-up of twinsdaily.com here. Just show everybody all the great stuff that's out there. Just as I can share my screen. Maybe I can't share my screen. Maybe I don't care to do this.
This is only our third show. We'll get better.
There is twinsdaily.com. I think you guys can.
Oh, look at those Target bras you could buy. Let's see here.
Now I'm curious what Bonus is searching on his.
Best Buy,
I don't think you want to know.
Russian brides. All
Mr.
right, yeah,
Big Boy.
and you also get to see sort of the stuff that might be coming. Oh, looks like we're gonna have a story about Jake Odorizzi coming up by Cody Perkle. So,
It's
anyway,
a big
lots of great-
storyline right now.
All right.
Also,
lots
be
of,
sure most of us will check our notifications from time to time.
All right. All right. Thanks very much for listening or stopping by the Postgame Pint. We will see you Tuesday night.